Hello Sangha, welcome to day 25. We're going to go quite quickly into our movement today. This session is really helpful if you have been for a run or a hike or a long walk. Thompson and I have been for a 10k run in the rain, so he's had a shower. He's hopefully clean. I'm hopefully cleanish. So bring yourself to all fours, okay? And I'll do another session where if you don't have room on the floor, some movements you can make. But if you're if you can get down onto all fours, if your run wasn't too long or your hike wasn't too hard, and start to just let your weight come back a wee bit towards your heels, and then let your weight come forward over your hands. And gradually let your weight come back a bit more. You might have to let your elbows come down and rest into this. So you've got full flexion in your knees, full flexion in your hips, opening up your ankles a little bit. And you can bring your hips all the way back towards your heels if that feels okay for you. Now you might have to just play with this forwards and backwards, especially if I've been in a really long run, maybe 15, 16 miles, then this position can be quite tough on the quads. So working your way backwards and forwards, okay? And then bring your hands forward, tuck underneath your toes, let your hips come back towards your heels, and see if you can take your heels back down gently into downward facing dog. And pedal down one side followed by the other side. Okay, so you're not looking for big, massive, forceful stretches here. There's not really good evidence for that kind of movement actually. You're just softening the areas that might have become resistant through the course of your run or your hike or your walk, okay? And then let your knees come back down. Walk your hands back towards your knees again and see if kneeling is getting any more comfortable for you, okay? Good. We're going to take our right foot forward and lunge towards that. Think about this part of your back leg opening up. And you can actually even stay without taking this leg forward and just push your hips slightly forward. So you take your hip forward, you feel down the front of your hip flexors opening maybe a little bit. Good. And take this foot for a walk, out to the side, forward. Okay. Good. Out to the side. In terms of working with your lower leg, the back of your lower leg, see if you can take your weight slightly forward and lean against it. And relax it, okay. Lean against it. And you should feel down the back of your calf. And you can change that slightly by turning your toes in different positions. Okay, so there's quite a group of muscles in there that we want to ease off. Good. And then let your foot come forward. Inhale up with both arms. Exhale, go wide and sink your hips. Inhale, come up, reach slightly back. Exhale, come forward and frame your foot. Bring your weight a little further back and see if you can touch the floor with your toes and then bring them back towards you. Good. And then make circles with your foot. If you can relax towards that leg a little bit more, maybe your chest comes closer down, but be gentle with yourself. We're trying to, it's almost like your movement is a massage for your body. And then come forward again, inhale up both arms. And exhale, come down inside your foot. Taking your foot a little bit wider, tuck underneath the toes of your back foot, move your heel away, sink your hips down, and then lift both hips up. Sink your hips down, looking forward, and lift them both up. Sink your hips down once again, turn to your front leg, inhale, turn and reach up with the hand beside it. Push back through your back heel. And then back down. Good. And then back into downward facing dog. And pedal out here. Opening your armpits a little bit more by softening your knees and moving your chest back in the direction of your legs. And again, come forward. Let your knees come down. Let your hips come back. See how kneeling is feeling for you now after several attempts. Use cushions here or here if that's going to make that more comfortable. Okay. And then we're going to take our left foot forward and do a lunge towards that. Good. Like we did on the other side. Don't lunge so much, but take your hips forward. Good. And then out to the side with your foot. Opening up the inside of your leg a little bit. And then bring that foot a little closer in, lean over it, and take your knee forward. So one side might feel a bit different to the other side. So be content to mix things up, work with your body in the way that's right for it today. And then let your foot come forward again. Inhale, reach up with both arms. Exhale, go wide. Inhale, come up, reach a little bit further back. And exhale, come forward, frame your foot. Let your weight come back a bit. Touch your toes to the floor. Lift it up. Toes to the floor. Lift it up. Good. Circle that foot around whenever you're ready to circle it around. Changing directions. Trying to ease off, massage your body through your movement. Let your foot come flat again. Inhale up through both arms. Exhale, come down inside your left foot. Taking your left foot a little wider, give yourself room for your hands to rest. Tuck underneath the toes of your back foot. Move your heel towards the back of the room, sink your hips. Turn to your front leg, inhale up. Good. Exhale down. Okay, lift your hips slightly, see how that feels, and then sink them down again. And maybe go up again. So don't worry about the exact same thing on both sides. Just think about doing what your body feels it needs. Let your back knee come down, send your front leg back, open both knees wide, touch your big toes together, hips back in your heels, elbows towards the floor, forehead towards the floor. Lift your head, lift your elbows, walk your hands back towards your knees, and see if you can push your hands into the floor and get yourself in a squat position. And from your squat position, bring your elbows on your knees and take your knees from side to side. Good. So trying to ease off any tension in your feet. So keep your heels up, even if you're somebody who squats and can squat with your heels down. Let your right hand rest inside your right thigh. Inhale, turn and open up with your left hand. Exhale down. Okay. Inhale up with your right hand. Exhale down. One more time either side. Inhale, turn in and reach in. And exhale down. Inhale, turn in and reach in. And exhale down. If squatting is too much at the moment, come out and relax. Do some other loosening, useful movements. But if you can stay in the squat a little bit longer, let both hands rest on the floor and then press your heels down and lift your hips up. Into Uttanasana. See if you can relax into that and then sink all the way down again. Into Malasana, into a squat. And go between these two movements a couple of times. Lifting your hips. And then sinking down. And maybe one last time. Good. See if you can bring your legs closer together and place your knees on the floor and keep your toes tucked under behind and let your hips rest on your heels. So you're working into your big toes. We want that flexibility in our big toe because we're really pushing off through our big toe when we're walking and also when we're running, okay? Good. Thompson's ready to go again. He's done his stretching, okay? Let your hands come back on the floor, come back into squat, and walk yourself back into downward facing dog from your squat. Pedal out, okay. Come up on your toes, inhale, lift your right leg, and bring your right foot through between your hands. Maybe easier said than done, so give it some support to get there. Let your left knee come down on the floor, and again rock slightly forwards and backwards here. You might want a cushion underneath your left knee for this next part, okay? So if you need something underneath there, pop something underneath. Okay, so we're going to put a little bit more pressure on it. Walk your hands towards your left knee. Bend your left knee, reach for your left foot. And bring your right hand forward inside your right foot. And see if you can rock your hips slightly forward and slightly back. Good. If it feels okay, bring your right hand on your right thigh. Draw your left heel towards your left buttock. Lift your chest, turn your shoulder forward. Reach your right hand forward. Turn your thumb face down, sweep it all the way back. Both hands on your back foot. Lift your chest a little bit higher. Butt towards your heel. Gently release. Bring both hands inside. Good. Slide your back leg a little further back. Walk your hands a little further forward and soften both elbows. Now, it might not be possible to go down too far. Okay, you can take your right foot a little wider. But some people can maybe place one elbow down. Don't force that. Maybe the other elbow down. Again, don't force that. If you can get both elbows down, watch for doing this, like really rounding your spine. Try and extend through your whole spine as you sink both elbows towards the floor. But this might be too much if you do a lot of running, okay? So don't go too deep in this. Bring your elbows up, walk your hands back underneath, slide your leg back, walk your hands back towards your knees again. Again, check in with your kneeling position, see if things are easing off, okay? And then we'll come back to downward dog once again. Hands forward, tuck underneath your toes. Hips back towards your heels, heels back and down, pedal out one side, then the other side. Looking underneath one armpit and the other armpit. Come up on your toes, inhale, lift your left leg this time. Bring your left foot through between your hands. Let your right knee come down, point your toes away. Let your weight come backwards and forwards from here. Seeing how that feels for you today. Good. And then walk both hands towards your back knee. Again, maybe put a cushion underneath that back knee. Bend your back knee, hold your right foot. And then bring your left hand inside. And let your hips go forward and backwards. Seeing how that feels. Good. You want to bring your hand on your knee, you can. Lift your chest slightly higher, turn your right shoulder further forward. Feel the opening in that back leg. Reach your hand forward, turn your thumb face down, sweep it all the way back. And draw your heel towards your buttock and also lift your chest. So feel like you're not working things too hard, but you're easing off into the areas that might have tightened up through a run. Gently release. Bring your hands inside. Slide your right knee a little further back. Take your left leg a little further forward. Maybe drop your knee away from your shoulder. Okay, we didn't do that on the other side, but the next time you do this, maybe try that. And take your hands forward. And if one elbow comes down, or you just soften them a wee bit, and you're going to feel it, right? And we're not going to do this, especially if we run a lot or hike a lot or walk a lot, and not notice this. So maybe both elbows come down. There won't be many people where that's so comfortable, okay? And then coming back up. Slide your left leg back. Open up both knees. Touch your big toes together. Hips back in your heels. Elbows towards the floor. Forehead towards the floor. Lift your head, lift your elbows, walk your hands back towards your knees once again. Bring your knees together to rest into Vajrasana, which is kneeling. Okay. Good. And what we're going to do is we're going to see if you can find a seated position that makes sense for you. So we can do a little bit on the shoulders, right? So especially if you run in Scotland or somewhere that's cold and wet, like the run we had tonight, you might tend to kind of close everything in at the front. So we're going to try and counteract to that a bit by opening up our arms, bend your elbows, okay, into cactus arms, and squeeze your arms back. And then let them connect. And then squeeze your arms back. And let them connect. And one more time, squeeze them back. Good. Clasp your hands towards your heart. Take an inhale, sit a little bit taller. Exhale, take your fingers forward. Push your palms out, tuck your chin in. Inhale, lift your hands all the way up over your head, slightly back. As you exhale, release your hands. Clasp them behind your back. So whatever seated position works for you, you can even do this standing actually, these arm and shoulder movements. Draw your fingers towards the floor, lift your chest, and take your fingers away from your lower back. And let them come down. Okay. Shake off, try that one more time. Clasp your hands towards your heart. Take an inhale. Let your fingers go forward. Push your palms out, tuck your chin in. Inhale, lift all the way up and back. Exhale, release. Clasp your hands, draw your fingers towards the floor. Take your hands away from your lower back. And shake it off. Good. Bring yourself to a position where your feet can be towards the front of your space. We've got some postures to help with our glutes after a run, okay? So bring your hands forward, slowly come down onto your back. And hug your knees toward your chest, taking your hips from side to side. Making circles with your knees, walking your hips away from your head. And then let your left foot come on the floor, your right foot come over your left thigh. Spread out both arms and let your knees go from side to side, easing off any tension in your lower back. Maybe you turn your head the opposite way to your legs. So as your legs go one way, your eyes face the opposite way. Good. Come back to the center. Your foot that's on the floor, bring it up. Clasp your hands around your thighs. Draw everything in. Circle your toes, taking your foot all the way up towards the sky. And draw everything a little closer to you. Good. Bend your straight leg. Clasp your hands maybe in front of your shin, depending on your anatomy. Take an inhale and then again exhale. Draw everything a little bit closer up. Your head come down. Gently release that. Hug both knees towards you. Let your right foot come on the floor. Your left foot come over. Spread out your arms. Let your knees gently go from side to side. And whenever you're ready, you can turn the opposite way with your eyes. to the direction of your knees. And when you want to lift your foot up off the floor, take your hands around your thigh of the foot you've lifted up. Take it slowly up towards the sky. Maybe draw your nose towards your knee. If it feels okay, bend that straight leg. Clasp your hands in front of your shin. Take an inhale and exhale your head towards your nose, towards your knee. And let your head come back down. And hug both knees towards you. Circling your knees around. Okay, we're going to do one final thing. Clasp your hands around your feet, the outside edges of your feet, into happy baby pose. Extend one foot up, the other knee down. Try that on the other side. Bring the soles of both feet together. Draw everything in. Take an inhale and exhale your head towards your toes. Let your head come back down, hug everything in, shake everything off in the air, get your legs nice and loose, your arms nice and loose. And if you have time, extend out through your whole body, let your legs rest, your arms rest. So feel free to pause the video here, stop the video here. If you're stuck for time, then gently move your fingers again, move your toes again. Stretch out through your whole body, hug your knees, roll onto your sides using your arm as a pillow. Breathing easy. Push into the floor, come all the way up to a seated position, and maybe we're ready to go for another 10k. I know Thompson would be ready. I'm not so ready. Connect your fingertips, connect the base of your palms. Thank you for your practice.